I'm like, oh, this is it. This is burnout. I let it happen this time and I let it take control and it dug its claws in. I'm telling you, Lindsay, I have not felt less of a human being my entire life. I've had the
Wow.
flu and I have felt better with the flu, knowing, oh, this will pass and I'll get back to it. That's just a sickness. This thing hit me. And honestly, I didn't feel good. I now recognize it for what it is. And it's not fun to be in. And I don't ever want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't ever want to fall out of love with the stuff I love to do. It's not true that I don't love this stuff. Of course I do. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. So I knew that this was wrong to feel this. I knew that it was like, this isn't me.
Welcome to the Work Less, Play More podcast for busy entrepreneurs who are ready to ditch the hustle, stop burning out on busy work, and get back to having a life. My name is Lindsay Johnson, aka The Radical Connector, and I've spent the last 10 years teaching first-time entrepreneurs how to get customers and make money. Listen in as I chat with other hustle-recovering business owners as we share our top tips for, you guessed it, working less and playing more. Let's do this. Oh my goodness, friends, I am beyond thrilled to get to talk with Nick McGraw today. Nick McGraw is also a host of the McGrawesome Sauce podcast. Yep, you may have heard me over there. He's also the founder of McGrawesome Design and is a brand designer who helps entrepreneurs build awesome brands that stand out effectively and connects to their audience. Nick specializes in identity design and branding with a focus on helping his clients reach their ideal clients and build lasting relationships. He works closely with his clients to create timeless brands to help them reach their business goals and fully express the badassery that they are through the visual elements of their business. Now, we get into all sorts of things on today's podcast. We get into some of the nerdier topics, which between Nick and I, we can't help but go there. But we also get real with what it's like to fall out of love with your passion when you hit burnout. Nick also shares how he learned that having a business coach or mentor has made him a better entrepreneur and human, and that self-care has become the crux of everything that he does, and that looks different for everybody. And of course, just as important, he shares how he learned to stop comparing his journey to someone else's and why it's important for you to do the same. Are you ready? Let's do this. Nick, welcome to the Work Less, Play More podcast. How you doing?
Lindsay Johnson, oh my God, am I stoked or what? I feel like it's a Thursday right now, but I feel like it's my Friday because I'm ending my day on such a high note with you. So it's just the vibes, just electricity, Lindsay.
But you also just broke my heart because I thought it was Friday.
I told myself all week. I was like, no, today's Friday. I even told someone today, I'm like, Fridays are the best. And he goes, question mark? I'm like, oh my God, no, I've like invented my own calendar. This is not the Gregorian calendar I'm used to anymore. I'm inventing a 4-day work week for myself.
I feel like as entrepreneurs, especially creative entrepreneurs, we should be able to have our own calendar. Like it's just the creative entrepreneur calendar, Monday to Thursday, something like 10 to 4.
I'm down with that. I can get into that. Let's design our own calendar, Lindsay. We'll market it. We'll brand it all up. Yeah. We'll be able to help all the entrepreneurs out there who want the same timeline we do. Yeah. We know we have a market. We do.
Okay, so listen, if you haven't already listened to me as a guest on Nick's podcast, we're already creating a chocolate company, I think, or a hot sauce company.
No, we're doing spicy chocolate. We're doing spicy treats because you wanted to mix the spice and the sweet. And I'm like, well, I'm just with you on this. Of course, I get to do all the packaging and we get to brand it up together. We're going to make our own spicy chocolate.
And now apparently our own calendar. And I'm here for
Exactly. Listen, when you're in the right room with people, the business ideas are endless. It's just a snowball effect. And we're just going to change the world. One product at a time, one business venture at a time. Right? Who needs Dragon's Den, Lindsay? We got us.
We will do it. We don't need no Dragon's approval.
Kevin O'Leary, you wish you had our ideas. You wish you did, buddy.
I will tell you though, back in the early days when I was just, oh gosh, so I don't use Twitter. I can't stand Twitter.
Right.
But I was trying to use it. And Arlene Dickinson retweeted one of my tweets. And I was a nobody. I was like, this is like today, my claim to fame, that Arlene Dickinson retweeted one of my tweets.
Celebrity that only really a few people know. She's not like a mega famous, kind of like a B-list celebrity. She retweeted one of my things. I'm going to ride that wave forever. And then one day, Lindsay Johnson will be retweeting one of my things and I'll think the world of it. You already do. You love all my stuff anyways, and I love all your stuff right back, so.
Yeah, I love all your stuff. Okay, so listen, we got... McGrawesome. We got McGrawesome Sauce podcast. We have McGrawesome Design.
That's right.
Nick McGraw is one of the awesomest. Awesomest? Is that a word?
That's
We're
a
gonna
good
go
one.
with it.
We're
Awesomest
gonna go with it.
brand designers, creative thinkers, say what's on his mind with no apologies kind of dude I've ever met. And it's awesome.
You know what? On my next business card, everything you just said, I'm glad this is being recorded. I'm just going to put that on the back of a business card. The front of it's going to be my face, and the other side's going to be that. No contact information. You'll find me if you need to. Just everything Lindsay just said.
Or just contact Lindsay.
That's my LinkedIn bio. Actually, I'm going to change my LinkedIn bio to be everything you just said.
To
I
me.
hope it's more. I hope it has the character count for it.
Okay, and do you know what's so interesting? Speaking of LinkedIn bio, so how we connected was through LinkedIn.
That's
And
right.
I, like everyone else, get pitched a million times a day on LinkedIn. And I don't even use LinkedIn myself. I'm not a LinkedIn user. And so it's weird to me. That's how you and I connected, because you are this super awesome, out there creative, as am I to some extent. How the heck did we connect on the most boring social media app there is?
Lindsay, how dare you? Twitter is the most boring one, and it knows what it is. Okay, and
Yeah.
and LinkedIn's just a little bit less boring. Actually, specifically the way we connected is I found your video content on LinkedIn, which is even a rarer occurrence because LinkedIn is the place where you type things, right? LinkedIn is the place where you write and you blog, and statistically is still like the best content you can put on there. You can put images and carousels and videos and all that other stuff, but the written word still performs really well on LinkedIn. So the fact that you put out a video, and you don't do that often, I don't know you to put a ton of video stuff on LinkedIn. The fact that I found one of yours and I was blown away by the first thing I saw, I was like, I gotta reach out to her, because I loved enough in that one piece of content to know that I got to talk to you, reached out to you. And it's like you said, I didn't pitch you on anything. I was just like, can I get to know you? Can I interview? Can I talk to you? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, what a great, actually, it's come full circle now, hasn't it? Because now you're doing your podcast.
I
Look
know.
at
Now
this.
you're like, come be on my podcast. And now I'm like, all right, your turn. Ever since I met you, I was like, this is a person who, we've said it before and I'll say it again. Our first 30-minute call, our booking was a 2.5-hour conversation. And
I remember that.
right, for good reason, because we hear this over and over again in the world of entrepreneurship, which is the importance of making business BFFs and
Yeah.
having those people that they make entrepreneurship more fun. They're also there when you're in a jam or you need advice or support. And you have quickly become one of my favorite entrepreneur BFFs.
Lindsay, listen, I don't know. I'm going to make my own new emoji or emoticon or something. I don't know how to translate heart and electricity in the same, not a broken heart, but a lightning bolt through the heart. I'm going to make one of those and pitch it to Apple. Like, this is the new emoji for 2021 and beyond. This is the new emoji. And I'm just going to send you that, because that's how I feel right now. Heart with electricity going through it. That's great, man. I love that. And I think, you know what? You're definitely one of my entrepreneurial BFFs in that I definitely use you as an example and as a mentor too. And sometimes I'll have to think, I'll catch myself every now and then, what would Lindsay do? You know what? I'm just going to DM her. I'm going to text her. I know I have her on speed dial. I'll just find out what she's doing with a decision like this. And we bounce ideas off each other a lot. And it's really nice to have a network like that. And it's just so valuable, right?
Yeah. And spoiler alert, Nick is doing some branding for me. So let's incorporate that lightning bolt heart into my new refresh.
Sure. I'll find a way to do it.
Done and done.
Don't you worry.
Okay. So talking about mentors.
Yeah. Segue.
Segue. I love asking guests on this podcast to share relatable and or embarrassing stories that I think other people would love to hear, because they wouldn't feel so alone and lost in what the heck they're doing, building their own businesses. Nick, you got a story for us?
Yeah, I do. And it's not so much about me. I'm definitely very much involved in it. And it's just this crazy down a rabbit hole, spiraling out of control for parts of it, which I didn't mean to get caught up in. But it's this crazy story that happened, I would say, how long ago was this? This would have been almost a year ago now. I'm not going to give away any names, and I'm not going to make anybody out to be a villain or anything. But my first ever business coach, the one person who turned me on to business coaching, me figuring out that I could even hire someone for these types of services, understanding that I could pay someone for their time, for mentorship. My very first business coach was basically found out to be a trickster and a charlatan. And it was found out that all of the course materials that she was offering and all of her products and all of her courses and all of her teachings were just ripped off from other successful mentors and entrepreneurs that she had studied under. And she just copycatted and cookie cutter their approach to things, and just basically one to one their branding, one to one. I didn't even know this because it was the first time I'd ever done any business coach investment. So I wasn't like shopping around the world for this type of person. She just fell into my life, came highly recommended, as you do, right? Come highly recommended, lots of testimonials. And this has got to be a for sure thing. So I bought into her 3-month program. I learned a tremendous amount. I'll say that right off the bat. I learned so much from her. I learned the power of social media, that I was using it in completely the irresponsible and wrong ways. She taught me that it really can be just extra arms of your business, extra extensions of your business, which today they now are. Her 3-month program was intense. I will say that. She had run this program once before, 3 months, with the first batch of students. I was her second batch of students. And by the time she got to her third batch of students, things started to derail and start unraveling. And the way I found out about all of this was a DM woke me up in the morning, and it was a new Instagram account outing her. It was disgruntled students who were behind this account, basically revealing her to the world that she's a liar and a trickster, and she ripped them off. And they spent a lot of money. Her program, Lindsay, I'm not going to give away the number. It was not cheap. Okay. I'm happy to have invested it. I'm happy to spend the money on me, because that's what it was. I was learning. I don't feel tricked. I don't feel hoodwinked. And once I learned about all the things she was doing, lying to people, just taking their money, not really delivering anything, I had to ask this person behind this Instagram account that was outing her. I said, who is behind it? And I would send voice notes to them, Lindsay. I was genuinely curious. I'm like, who is behind this? Are you a student of hers that is pissed off and feels that their money was taken from them? Because it doesn't take a detective to figure out what is going on here. And they basically came clean with me and said, yes, there's a couple of people running this account, but we're not alone. The reason we reached out to you is because you are involved in her community, and we can see that you were once a student. And so we're reaching out to all of her students, and we're just shedding light on the fact that she's basically a liar. Some of her entrepreneur relationships, mentors, whatever you want to call them, her teachers, have even stepped forward and have since also outed her and said she basically ripped off my program. Right? She took all my branding and just put her logo on it. Like, that's not being original. That's not being creative. And so I guess you have to ask, are her results effective, and is she delivering the results that you want? Because in the end, if she's helping you to succeed, she's helping you build out your business, do the ends justify the means? This is an ethical argument, an argument of ethics and morals and values. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's wrong. I have never spoken ill of her. I have never reached out to her and say, oh, it's horrible what you've done. I've never vilified her, but I can see how she has left people worse off, because again, her program was not cheap, and those who do not get the results, and it's quite the coin flip with her. It's either 50-50. She either gets you spectacular results or she leaves you in the dust. There's really no middle ground with her. I won't say that I was left in the dust, but I learned a whole lot, and I don't feel disgruntled. I don't feel less of a person. Definitely, I'm glad for the experience, because it allowed me to go buy the best business coach I've ever had, who was my current business coach, Adam. And we've just moving mountains with each other for the last year. Everything happens for a reason, Lindsay. I'm glad I did it, because I probably would have been in the same spot still, and you and I would have never met, and there would have been no reason for you and I to be in each other's lives, because I definitely got bitten by the entrepreneurial bug in June of 2019. So it's 2 years later, basically. So I'm glad I did it. I have no ill will towards her or her community or anything she's done, but it's just a crazy story that I was pulled into due to disgruntled students, and I was blown away. It's just a crazy story. I hope no one's ever left in the dust. I hope no one ever feels robbed. I certainly don't do that with my business. I want everyone to get most value out of me, biggest bang for their buck. I want people to feel that they're investing in themselves. It's not how I do things. It's not how you do things. It's just a crazy story. It's not necessarily embarrassment for me, but others for sure.
And what a way to enter the world of entrepreneurship, was surrounded by that level of drama. And you sometimes hear from people who have a really negative experience with a coach or any kind of professional, and really in any industry or any facet of life. And it can really sour that person. And what's neat is that it didn't sour you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't let it sour me. And once I guess you could say graduated her program, once I got out of her 3-month thing, I still had to work hard on my own, and I still had to go forward. I wasn't going to say, well, she didn't get me results. Boo hoo. Like, no, it's still on me. Like, I still have to perform. And so, no, there's no reason to let it sour you. If you buy a really expensive sports car and don't gas it up, you don't get mad at the sports car for not driving you places. Like, you've got to gas it up. And so if my sports car is my business, I got to be the fuel every day. You just look at things objectively. You just got to be mature about it. She didn't hurt me. She doesn't damage me. I keep moving forward. And it would seem that she's now worse off for it. And so that's a good lesson for everyone to learn. Just be better.
I was in a position ages ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, where I had somebody rip off my system and pass it off as their own. And so I know the devastation of that. I also know that they didn't take it anywhere, because you cannot take someone else's brilliance and then make it your own. You just can't. You always fall on your face.
Yeah, you're not going to be as passionate about it because it's not something you crafted. Like no one will ever love your business like you do. And you know what the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it, all the behind the scenes that went into it. No one's ever going to be able to mimic you. And then therefore, no one's ever going to outwork you. Like if you have employees in your business, whether you're a brick and mortar business or you're an entrepreneur like us and you're like a digital nomad, no one's ever going to outwork you. It's your thing. And so you can copy and you can try to mimic, and they say imitation is the greatest form of flattery. No, imitation is the dumbest thing you can do, because it's not yours, it's not original. And we live in a world where everyone's supposed to be authentic, right, Lindsay? We're supposed to be living your truth and be authentic. There's nothing authentic about what she did. There's nothing authentic about these charlatans who just rip off other programs and pass it off on their own. And in the end, it's the customers that suffer. It's their clients who suffer.
Yeah, and it's them too. As you said, like this person's business is in the toilet. I say this all the time, that time will either promote you or expose you. Mm-hmm. When you're doing shady stuff, you can't hang out in the shade forever.
Yeah, that's very true.
So it doesn't help, but I hope it helps for people who are going through something similar.
Yeah, like I've had people come to me. Some I've onboarded as clients, and some were just friendly conversations, and I wasn't able to help them. And that's the key, like knowing when and where you can help. Don't say yes to everything. If someone comes to me, listen, I want to run a bunch of Facebook ads. I'm not your guy. I am not the ads guy. I don't know anything about that. It's a hard world. Oh, I need some web development and I need IT marketing. I don't know anything about those worlds, so I'm not going to be your guy. So I've also had many conversations with people who have been burned. I have clients now who their first stories with me, Lindsay, our discovery call, like you said, your 30-minute discovery call is just, listen, Nick, I've been burned before. And it was just a little while ago that someone took all my money and ran away. I was like, Jesus, sorry. First of all, I'm sorry on behalf of all graphic designers that this person's an idiot, okay? But we're not all cut from the same cloth, and I'm going to deliver exactly what I told you I'm going to deliver. I'm going to only do what I know I can do for you. And if I don't know what it is that you need, or if I'm not sure of it, I will definitely find the answers for you. I'll put you in touch with someone who can, but I'll always be honest and always be upfront. But lots of people tell me that they were burned. Lots of people tell me they were burned, and I hate it. I hate hearing that, because I know what it's like to be burned, and it sucks.
So a lot of folks can experience that bad encounter with somebody, and it can sour us, just like it sours us if we're in a bad relationship, and it can sour us to dating. It can also sour us in our businesses, and our businesses are our babies, and it's hard to let people get their hands on our babies.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think as a creative entrepreneur, I think it's very sobering, and it's one of the first maxims you got to learn. One of the first truths you got to learn. Someone else who built a business for the last 25 years is letting you into that. Do you know how intimate that is? It's dating. Okay, I have one client who has built his landscaping business for 30 years. Okay, and he only trusts 0 people. Okay, like he has trust issues at the wazoo, but because we got to get to know each other, he's been following me for a long time. Finally, we decided to do a project together. 6 months later, we're building websites, we're doing branded content, we're shooting videos together, we're doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and it's all helping to build his business. And he leans on me now all the time. He's DMing me, he's voice noting me. He's like, what do I do for this? What do I do for that? And I love the fact that he's able to trust me and lean on me for these things, because I'm his guy. And I want to be that for as many people as I can.
And this brings up a really good point for our listeners who are new entrepreneurs who, again, we're talking about work less, play more. We're talking about outsourcing. We're talking about hiring people to support you and letting go of control, letting other people get access to your business can be a very hard thing when you're new to this. How, like for yourself, how do you navigate that, any nervousness or apprehension about letting other people get their hands into your business?
Spoiler alert, Lindsay, I'm not good at everything. I know that comes as a shock. Oh my God, I know. And my mom would be like, are you sure? Aren't you? perfect at everything because you say you are all the time. But I've very slowly but very concretely subscribed to the idea that I'm not good at everything. And just because I started this business, this creative endeavor, doesn't mean I know how to run all the things about it. Just because it's my name on a McGrawesome doesn't mean I know all the things. I'm like the worst accountant in the world. I can barely send an invoice. Like I have a client who will get back, our names are spelled wrong. I'm like, oh my God, I know you people. I can't spell your name right on an invoice. And I'll just say, forgive me, I'm the world's worst accountant. I'm an awesome designer, but you don't pay me for accounting services. So like, you have to be real with yourself and have a very objective view of your business. What are you good at? Double down on those things. You can continue to do those things. Not only what are you good at, but what fills you up, what fills your soul. There's plenty of things I'm good at that aren't gonna fill me up, that aren't gonna make me feel good, that aren't gonna fill my cup. So it's a Venn diagram. What are you good at? What can you get paid for? And then what do people need? And somewhere in there is a sweet spot of excellence, and that's how you can run it. You can build a business off the middle part, right? So you have to know what are you good at and what fills your soul, and then that Venn diagram, you can continue to do those things. But there are blind spots in my business, like you and I have been talking about, what it's going to look like for me to hire a VA soon. I'm in the position now where I'm grown enough where I actually need a virtual assistant to help me. So there's blind spots all over my business: administrative tasks, sending out invoices, contracts, following up on emails, just getting organized daily. And if I want the help, I have to relinquish some control. So of course I'm going to go to a trusted source, someone who comes highly recommended, someone who's already vetted for me. Get into my emails, get into my CRM, get into my Google Sheets. I'll give you all the access. I'll give you all the access because you already come highly recommended. There's nothing if we don't have trust. If you break my trust, you're out, but I'll trust you entirely in the beginning because I'm paying you to be trustworthy. I'm paying you for your services and I need the help, right? So there are things in your business you're going to be great at. There are things in your business you're going to love. Do those things more because you're good at them and your customers probably expect you to be good at those things. For me, it's like logo design and branding and colors and web design. No one's expecting me to be good at the financing and the following ups and the account management and all that stuff. Those are things that don't fill me up, that I'm not great at anyways. They're blind spots for me. So let's go get a professional to help you with those things.
Do you think that in the entrepreneurial landscape today, do you think that there is an inappropriately hyper-focused perspective on entrepreneurs being everything and taking courses and classes and mastering every facet of business development?
I do. I think there's this romanticized hype about rise and grind, hustle and flow, 25/8. It's all gross.
25/8? Geez
Yeah.
Louise.
Yeah, no, it's gross. It's
Yeah.
gross. It's funny if you use it ironically.
Mhm.
I don't know, if I see it in some cartoon show I'm watching or some stupid movie like 25/8, bro, it's a joke because they only work 2 hours a week. Like they're lazy and doing nothing. But for those who take it seriously, for those who are all about work till you're dead, get 6 hours of sleep at night, there's kind of two sides to this. One, all the things we just talked about, like all the things that fill my soul, all the things that fill my cup, all the things I love to do. Could I do that 10 hours a day? Sure. And never feel burnt out because I love doing them. Like I could work 10 hours a day. They say if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. That's probably true for a lot of people. I don't know if I've hit that yet, but that's probably true for a ton of people out there. I could do only what I'm passionate about all the time and feel great. The things that I'm passionate about, which are several different things, are not all business related and won't all get me paid. So I don't know that just working 10, 12 hours a day all the time till the day you die or the day you retire is the right mindset. And conversely, I don't think that this romanticized view of entrepreneurs just working morning till night, never having any time for self-care. Burnout is just a figment of your imagination. It is not real. Well, okay, I just went through it a couple times, so I know it's real. And I'm Mr. Tough Guy, and nothing can wear me down. And burnout slapped me hard in the face like 2 weeks ago, Lindsay. And
Really?
Oh yeah, I basically had a bit of a. Okay, now we're getting deep. We're nothing if not deep on Lindsay's work less, play more. Burnout is defined as not only are you physically and mentally drained, but you've also fallen out of love with the things that you were just in love with. I mean, the work you do and the people you meet. For me, it's like identity design and drawing and crafting logos and brands and things like that. I love that stuff. I eat, sleep, and breathe that stuff. Out loud in my apartment, when no one was around me but the cats, I said out loud, I don't love anything that I do anymore, and I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And I had a mental breakdown on my own. And thank God I was alone for 5 days straight because the fiance took a trip to Banff and she got out of here. She goes, I'm done. I need my own self-care. I'm like, you're right. You don't need my doom and gloom. But it hit me hard. It hit me hard. And it was the first time. I think I hit it once, maybe 6 to 8 months ago, but it was only halfway there and I got out of it real quick. And I think the fact that I was talking about, I'm like, oh, this is it. This is burnout. This is burnout. I didn't quite get there because I could correct for it. I let it happen this time and I let it take control and it dug its claws in. And I'm telling you, Lindsay, I have not felt less of a human being my entire life. I've had the flu and I have felt better with the flu, knowing, this will pass and I'll get back to it. That's just a sickness. This thing hit me and it was for 2 days straight. I did not feel like myself. Yeah. It lasts for different people. It lasts sometimes 3 months, 6 months. I'm not saying 2 days and you're out. For me, that's how much it was, but it was very real. It doesn't matter how long it lasts. It's real all the same. Yeah. And honestly, I didn't feel good. I now recognize it for what it is, and it's not fun to be in. What did I do to get out of that? I took a little bit more time for myself, talked to my now business coach who sorted me out straight. He basically was really disappointed in me and said, you got to tell me when these things are happening to you. It's my job to push you and help you grow. But if you're at your fucking maximum, I can't help you. And I don't want to push you over the edge. I want to help. I'm supposed to be coaching you, not grinding you into dust. There's a difference. And I was like, yeah, man, you're right. Disappointed the fiance, disappointed my own business coach, disappointed myself, but that's okay because it's always learning. You're never losing. You're just learning. Yeah, take it from me, man. Like it wasn't a fun experience, something to learn from. And I don't ever want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't want to fall down that again because the next time I do, it won't be for 2 or 3 days. This will be 2 or 3 months. And I don't ever want to fall out of love with the stuff I love to do. I know what I love to do. Just because I have a little blip, a little obstacle, doesn't mean that's permanent. Oh, you don't love logo design anymore? Of course I do. I could do this all day long. Of course I do. So I don't ever want to feel that way again because it's not true. It's not true that I don't love this stuff. Of course I do. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. So I knew that this was wrong to feel this. I knew that it was like, this isn't me. And so what do we do to fix it? We reorganize, we get some help, we get the VA we know we need, we get the outsourcing that we know we need so Nick can continue to feel like a human being, basically. Yeah.
Well, that also points out to why it's so important to have a business coach or business friends or somebody to tune in with. I remember early days, I had a business coach as well back in the beginning and popping onto a session with her. And she looked at me and I was like death warmed up, as they say. And I was just done. And the first thing she said as soon as we hopped on Zoom was, Lindsay, what is going on? And it's just, I'm exhausted. And it was such a blessing because she basically gave me permission to look at my calendar and anything that wasn't absolutely essential to get it out. She goes, going to this networking event tonight is not going to make your business that much better. And it was that wake up call of we do not have to work as hard as we do. And working to the point of burnout doesn't serve anybody.
No, and I'm so glad you appreciate coaching just as much as I do, because if I know I'm responsible for all my successes and failures, but like for sure the mentorship is helping. And without Adam, I don't know how I would have come this far, and he knows that. And I just turned to Portia like yesterday. I'm like, I'm going to pay Adam for another 6 months. Okay. And she goes, what are you asking me for? You don't need my permission. I know how good Adam has been doing with you. Like, I'm the last person you need permission from. Are you asking me? Are you sounding off on me? Who are you trying to convince here? Are you trying to convince yourself? I know Adam should still be in your life till Christmas or forever. I don't know, until you're done running this thing. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just making sure you're into it. She goes, oh no, you can invest in yourself. How much is this? That's nothing. Just sign the papers. Do you know what I mean? So it's invaluable. Adam and I have a great relationship. He knows me really well. We've been working together for a year. And I say this now, but in the beginning, we didn't know each other. You didn't know. It takes time to learn each other's isms. Do you know what I mean? Different mannerisms, how they like to live life. He's also in a different part of the world than me. He's 5 hours different. So there's always this giant time gap, which is fine because I'll drop voice notes to him. He'll pick them up the next day, etc. But he's always there for me. He's never been not reachable. And it's not like I pester him every day, but we have a very excellent agreement. We have a very sound relationship. Outside of business, we're also friends, right? When all this pandemic crap is over, I have no doubt I'll go and see him. We'll go surfing or snowboarding or something, because that's things that we like to do as well. The power of mentorship, a professional mentor. I don't mean your dad or a big brother who would be there hopefully for you. So they have to be there in your corner. I think you get what I mean. Like, you're paying for sound professional advice, and he's obligated to give it to me. When you're not willing to invest in yourself and you want free advice all the time, you'll get crap advice. Yeah. And so you are investing in yourself. I've never, ever thought that the now thousands of dollars that I've spent on him, I've never thought that I was spending on him. I've always thought that I was spending on me. And that is an argument I will continue to convince myself of. Every course I buy, every book I buy, this is on me. This is me.
You nailed it. You nailed it. This is, people will often think I'm making an investment in you. I'm making an investment in Nick to do my branding. No, I'm making an investment in myself, in my business. So it's whether it's professional development, professional services, personal growth, therapists, dentists, chiropractors, you're not investing in them. You're investing in yourself. And there's a vibration about that. Tell me about that from the perspective of how serious you take yourself as a business owner when you invest in yourself in that way.
I pay him to tell me what to do. It's like college. I'm paying you so you can give me more work, but it's not about more. It's about the right work.
The right.
And here's something else I'm turning on to. There is not a fine line, but more of a chasm of difference between being busy and being productive. It's no longer a fine line. It's a massive gulf. I have felt busy for the last 3 months. I can't tell you, maybe on one hand, I can count 5 productive days. You know what I mean? There's a difference between doing things that will move the needle in your business, get you another sale, close another thing, really building your business up and growing, and just posting on Instagram for 5 days in a row. There's a massive difference between being busy and being productive. And I'm slowly turning on to that. And look, building your business, nothing from the ground up, as you well know, Lindsay, is ridiculously difficult. It's all you in the beginning, right? There's no outsourcing. There's no hiring this person, hiring that. I hope you can. I hope you have the capital to do that in the beginning. I honestly do, because you can't do it all. But many of us are doing this all on their own. So they are social media strategists, they are brand strategists, they are accountant, they are accounts payable, accounts receivable, they are the janitor, they're the receptionist, they're everything, right? They're going to get the groceries, they're taking care of kids and family. Like, there are entrepreneurs who have it way worse than me. They have kids and family and all, and a couple of dogs and all that stuff. Like, it's hard to do all that stuff.
I don't know if they'd call that worse, but yes, I know what you mean. Way busier than you.
way busier, and they probably feel like they don't have as much time on their hands. And so it's going to take them a lot longer. But yeah, having these relationships around you to point you in the right direction. I can't tell you how many times I've shown him what I'm doing. He goes, yeah, that's useless. Get rid of that. What are you doing with that? I thought we're running a business here, not a friggin' circus. I'm like, oh, okay, you're right. You're Mr. Mentor. This is what I need you for. And so now I'm starting to think like him, like, what's going to free me a little bit more? What's not only going to free me from the chains of my own busyness and just busy for the sake of busy, but actually being productive? And who can I serve more? And how can I serve myself more? It's like you said, anything from business coaching to the dentist, it's spending money on you. It's spending money on you, whether it's a new course or when you celebrate. The way I like to celebrate wins is I'm not big into material goods. Like, I won't buy like a new video game or something like that. I'll just go get more ink. I'll just go get some more tattoos. That's investing in me. I don't care what anyone says. And I don't put like crap ink on me. Like, I put like nice ones on. And we can't do that right now because everything's shut down. When I'm ready to celebrate a win, I'll go get ink. That's investing in me. I feel like spent money on me. That's how I like to celebrate wins. And so it's always investing in you, whether it's dental or it's another course you really need to learn that will help your business, or it's a piece of tech like a camera or a laptop that will push you to the next level. You need to stop seeing it as a cost, and you need to start seeing it as the investment that it is.
Yeah. I have to ask you a really random question. Do you design your own tattoos?
The 3 that I have, I sound like I'm covered in ink. Like, oh, these 2 sleeves and my back piece. The 3 that I have, they're all inspired by something else. So like this one here is obviously a human eye, but it's a cat eye. Yeah. So I just combined the 2 of them. That's not really original. This is one of my favorite bands. It happens to be a typographic mark because I'm a graphic designer. I love typography. So it's just a 0 with a slash through it, but it's stylized to make it look like marble. Yeah. So that look. So I did that, but because it's typographic, I really like, and this is just from a game. It's just the 8-pointed star of chaos, which doesn't make me a Satanist. It's just chaos is like what the universe is made of, like the 8-fold star. I feel like I'm talking to you about witchcraft or something. It's just from a game, but the 8-fold star points to all the different corners of the universe.
Nice.
And if you know anything about the universe, it's nothing but dust and energy. There's no empty space in the space. It's all dust and particles that you may or may not feel, and things that are spinning, and things that you can't see, like energy and stuff like that. So there's no end to the universe, and the universe just keeps going. So it's the 8-fold path of the universe. Anyways, okay, nerd. Enough of your nerd talk, okay? Nerd
talk. I love it. Tell us what you're nerding out to these days.
One thing that we're talking about courses, right? And we're talking about like learning and stuff. I don't know if you know, basically he's ever been called this. I call him this. He's like the godfather of YouTube, Sean Cannell. Do you know who Sean Cannell is?
I don't.
So he's this skinny white dude, lives in Nevada. He basically, when YouTube was just starting out, so it would have been around 2010, he started his YouTube channel, and he has found a way to basically build a living off YouTube. And he has something, millions of subscribers, millions of YouTube hits, many millions and millions. He's built multiple businesses just in video, and he's basically the godfather of YouTube. And he has shown countless people how to build a proper YouTube channel, how to rank your videos, how to get your videos ranked and searchable and super juicy, and make sure that the content, he's a content creator at the end of the day, but he's really good at what he does. For the last decade, he's poured his heart and soul into this. And he has a channel called, he has Think Media, but then he also has, oh my God, Lindsay, what's his channel called? I can see it in my mind's eye right now, and I can't remember what it's called. But anyways, I bought his YouTube course right around March break, where his YouTube course went on this massive sale. And I was like, okay, now I got to get it. YouTube is a massive part of what we do here. Video content is huge. It's just another way for people to know who you are and interact with you. It's just another brand touch point. And I want to get better at this. I'm behind the camera enough where I should be improving at this. You don't just have shaky cam and wiggle your phone around. Hopefully this goes viral. No, there has to be a plan to it. And he'll actually show you and structure his courses out. I've only been able to scratch the surface of his course so far, and there's a million modules. And already I'm learning. I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. And I'm taking notes. I'm like filling notebooks just off like 1 hour of him talking. That's what I'm nerding out to lately. I'm trying to be better at my video content, my content in general. And I'm trying to reach people. I'm trying to leave them in a better state than I found them. So if I don't have something really important to share with you, or if I don't have something that's worthy of YouTube, because there's a lot of crap on YouTube that's not worthy of even being posted, I don't want to waste anyone's time. I'd rather have small, bite-sized, punchy videos that really help people versus like hour-long dissertations that are, oh, I only needed 30 seconds of that. I only really needed, I don't need the whole movie. I just needed the trailer and I'm out. So I'm learning a lot from him right now. I'm reading a lot more too. I'm posting that on my Instagram all the time. I can see you voting on my polls. Yeah, I've read that book, or I haven't read that one. I'm definitely turning on to relationship building a lot more and self-care a lot more, because self-care especially is not some hocus pocus. It's not some hoity-toity, oh, I'll worry about that when I'm retired. No, you won't get to retirement if you don't take care of yourself now. And self-care, one of my clients, the way she put it was, self-care isn't bubble baths and spa days. Although for some people that could be it. Sometimes self-care is working out at the gym. Sometimes self-care is just cooking that awesome meal that you haven't been able to for the last month because you've been so busy, but you just wanted to make something for yourself. Sometimes self-care is just working on the car for 6 hours. You know, self-care is different for everybody. It could be a trip. It could be just staying at home. But self-care looks different for everybody. Sometimes it's just building my little models or my little figurines that I like to do. Self-care looks different for everybody. And rarely is it just vegging out playing video games for 8 hours or just in the bubble bath. It's usually doing something for you. It's usually doing a thing for yourself. And it looks different for everybody. And you don't need to justify it to anybody. You just need to find a balance that works for you. A couple hours here, a couple hours there, and your soul is filled again. Gary Vee put it right. This is one of the first lessons I took from Gary Vee. If you're living for the weekend, your shit is broken.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it.
They say if you're building a life that you need to take a vacation from, you're building your life.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And one of your mantras is, I'm helping you build a business to help you live, right? Like the business shouldn't be a shackle. Like it shouldn't be pinning you and preventing you from living. You should be able to work and live and work and live and work. And there should be almost like you can have clear boundaries, but it almost should be hard to see where the business ends and my life begins. Like I should almost that doesn't mean work 24/7 and always have your cell phone on and at 3 a.m. my customers can reach me. No, that's no way to live. What it really is, there should be a clear plan for you. If you want to call Toronto or Vancouver home base for a little while, fine. If you want to go rent an apartment in Paris for 3 months and work there, good, go for it. You want to sail the Caribbean for the next 6 months and work on your laptop, you should be able to. That's the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur. Whether you want to live that digital nomad life or you want to stay in one spot, you should be able to live and work in equal amounts. And you shouldn't feel guilty about living and not working. And you shouldn't feel burnt out from working and not living.
100%. So when you were describing self-care, all I kept thinking was self-care most oftentimes starts with us saying no. In some capacity, it starts with a no. And I think that sometimes that hardest no as a new entrepreneur to say is the one to yourself.
First of all, outright agree with saying no. Get used to saying it to other people, because every time you say yes to someone else, you're saying no to yourself.
Yeah.
Hey, can I just get you to? Sure. Hey, Nick, I need you over here? Sure. Every time I get pulled in this direction or that direction, or I say yes to you and I say yes to you, I'm saying no to me. Maybe not right now, but maybe later, because now I have to spend 4 hours with you over here and I don't get to do the thing I wanted to do or the thing I had to do. I'm saying no to myself, right? You're not selfish for putting you first.
Yeah.
If you don't put you first, no one else is going to, and then you are effective to nobody, right? If you are responsible for other humans' lives, if you're like a nurse or a doctor, or you're a mom at home and you got little ones and you're watching, whatever you are, if you are responsible to other people, if you honestly don't put yourself first, and then you get burnt out and you drop the ball and people's safety or lives are at stake, or your business is at stake and your employees' livelihoods are at stake, what good are you? What good are you? How effective are you when you're a zombie walking in, whether it's your computer or your office, and you literally fall asleep at your desk? Like, what good are you then? You're serving nobody, and certainly not yourself. And you're not setting the right tone for your corporate culture, because I have a culture of one. It's just me here. But my clients know when they can and cannot reach me. I have one client, it's so funny, Lindsay. He goes through little panic attacks sometimes, 9 p.m. on Sundays. I swear to God, Lindsay, at 9:25 on a Sunday once, and this was recently, he just goes through a freak out, like on the DMs, and I can see it happening, and I go, no, it's Sunday night at 9 o'clock. There is no way I'm available. Yep. I can see it happening, but I'm like, either this sorts itself out by Monday or by tomorrow morning, or it's not an emergency. And by the tomorrow morning, I either get, no, don't worry, I figured it out. Or I'll answer him, like, how can I help you? He goes, oh, it's really, I just need this and that. There's always some emergency that's probably not an emergency, but you're also setting the wrong tone for people when you're just always available. I'm just always available. I'm always on the clock. No, you're not. You get to sleep. You get to eat.
And that's what I mean when I say no, saying no to ourselves. You're saying no to others, yes, but we ultimately are responsible for our actions. And so I say to myself, nope, you're not answering that Facebook message. Nope, you're not answering that text. Nope, you're not taking on that project. And it is that boundary we set with ourselves to ensure that we have time for the self-care, for the rest, for the play, for the relationships outside of business. Otherwise, our businesses would overtake us.
Yeah. It's just so smart for you to remember, every time you say yes to something else, you say no to yourself. And it may not be obvious right now, but it'll come later.
Yeah.
Let's say 6 months from now, someone's, hey, can you be available for this party? I don't know. I'm saying no now. Is 6 months room for that? Because 6 months later comes, or even 6 weeks later, or 6 days later. I'm like, shit, did I agree to that thing I didn't want to do anyways? And why didn't I just say no to you? Just say no. Just say no. Unless you have to be at the funeral or you have to be at a thing, unless it's like a really super important something. A lot of it probably that important, life or death kind of thing. Rarely is there an emergency that can't be fixed. And then if it can be fixed on its own without you intervening, I guess it wasn't an emergency. Exactly. So every time you say yes to someone else, you're saying no to yourself. Get used to thinking that way.
Yes. And letting your client self-soothe.
They're grown-ups. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. So work less, play more. You've had that experience of that burnout. You're now prioritizing, or at least making on equal footing, self-care and business.
Learning.
This concept of working less. Again, you've got some VAs coming on board. You're starting to outsource so that you can work less. What does play more look like to you?
You really want to know?
I do. Absolutely.
We're going to book Mexico for September, and my birthday's in early September, so I want to be in Mexico for early September. I know that feels a ways away, but this was part of the burnout that I just had. And I realized all this money that I'm making, and I'm not rich or anything like that, but all this new business that I've closed, what am I doing with it? Like, you're meant to go live a life with it now. The point of having your own business is so you can go do some things. I've made all this money. Investments. Yeah, it's great to invest. And I do that a lot. I invest hard. But when you just take your cash and stuff it somewhere else, you feel like you don't get to celebrate a win. What the hell am I working for? I'm working to retire at this point. Then, okay, retire at 45. Great. But then what? Life begins. I won't know what to do with myself. If you haven't been building these little mini retirements into your life up until this point, you won't do it. Do you know what I mean?
I also was really, I'm getting excited. I love mini retirements, building.
Are you vibing with mini retirements?
I like this.
So like a mini retirement, I'm taking from the book of Tim Ferriss, the mini retirements of your life. There's no reason why you can't, especially if you want to be a digital nomad or you want to be an entrepreneur and just work behind your laptop all the time, which is a lot of people do. I'm doing that with my creative work. There's no reason why you can't pick up shop and go book a place in Sicily or in Australia for 2 months and work there for 2 months. You're still working, but you get to work in a different environment. And maybe you don't need 8 hours a day. Maybe you only need 4. Maybe you only need 5, and you can be surfing the rest of the time. And then you come back to normal, back to Toronto, or in my case, Toronto, come back, work for 3 or 4 months, do a couple work projects, and then peace out again. And then you get to go to this place. So you want to know what my Playmore looks like? Mexico in September, and we are seriously investigating Buenos Aires, Argentina, what would look like for November. Like we're just going to book an apartment in Buenos Aires, go down there, work from there, and come back for Christmas.
Oh, That's literally my dream. I think that's a lot of people's dreams.
Not being able
Portugal.
to do it.
I
Yeah,
got everyone knows Portugal. Once we're safe to travel, Portugal. I'm there.
Where are you going specifically?
Probably Lisbon. I'd love to just go and live, but that's one of my dreams. And I want to be able to work and live on the beaches of the world. That's what's up.
Portugal, there's photos I've seen of Portugal, and I'm like, this is on Earth?
Yeah.
This is here. This isn't like some magical world. Like the cliffs of, what are they called? The Algarve coast or the Alsace coast? I can't remember what it's called. There are cliffs there. I'm like, shut up. That's not CGI. That's not invented. It's like magic. I can't get out and see the world. There's 196 countries on this earth.
Yeah.
If you saw one a year for the rest of your life, you still wouldn't see the whole planet. You wouldn't see every culture. Do you know what I mean? Go out, go start doing it. Go start to see it. I want to see 50 or 60 countries by the time I die. I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that. And there's no reason why you can't be doing it now.
Yeah.
While you're building a business on your own. This is meant to be free, right? Like you left your job to go start. This thing isn't supposed to be more than the job you left, or else you could have stayed in that job. So it's supposed to give you a little bit more freedom. And I get that the first couple of years are hard. There's no question that the first 2 years of what I've been doing here have been hard. But I'm learning to let go and relinquish and get rid of that control. And it's not even about the control. I want the help. It's not about controlling everything. I want the help. I'm just now realizing I've grown to a point where I can't do it all on my own. I've been able to do it on my own and save some money and bootstrap and all that. But now I need the help. And so it's not about, I'm a control freak. No, it's please help. I just need to appoint the right person and pay the right person, but I need the help. They're part of my business under wraps. That frees me up and I can go do these things and I can go play.
Precisely. I had Vince on the other day. We were chatting.
Oh yeah, Vince.
Yeah. And we were chatting. I think your name came up once or twice. And I had said that entrepreneurs are the only people that will quit their 40-hour-a-week job to work an 80-hour-a-week job to be their own boss.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, 80 hours a week, I don't recommend it. But we do have those 10 and 12-hour days sometimes. And those first 2 years are intense. But as you said, there's a difference between being busy and productive. And if we stop being busy and be productive instead and get good at what we do, make money, we can hire all those people.
Yep.
Then give us that freedom to go live the life of our dreams.
If you believe that every dollar you ever spent on yourself, whether it's paying someone else for branding or paying for business coaching or whatever it is, if you actually believe that every money you've spent is investing in yourself, then what I say next should come easily to you. That is, have a figure in your head of what your time is worth. What do you want to be paid hourly? You may not make this all the time. I certainly don't. Every project is different. Let's just use this because the math works out easier. If you want to make $100 an hour in your business, I don't know what it is you'd be doing, but let's say that's the figure you want. Every hour you spend on stuff, I'm making $100. Every hour then that you spend doing something useless, you just burned $100. Wouldn't have you rather paid someone 15, 16 bucks an hour who is qualified, even if they need more money than that? If you need really qualified people, you need $30 and $40 range. But wouldn't you have rather paid someone 40 bucks an hour to do that super critical task that frees you up to go do something else? Because I'll tell you, Lindsay, I'd rather have a VA do these 4 or 5 hours a week for me on the stuff I don't want to do. And those 4 or 5 hours, I might have spent a couple $100 on them, but those 4 or 5 hours, I just landed a new client.
Yes.
Because I was nurturing them and I was doing free discovery calls with them. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, Nick, you're the real deal. I got to sign on. Okay, that'll be however many thousands of dollars for your massive project that you know is worth it. I'll spend a couple $100 freeing up my time, but I'll get something in return. Or maybe I don't get something like money that's tangible. I'll go get a trip or something, or I'll go treat myself, or I'll be able to go down to the beach down here in Toronto and spend a couple of hours with a girlfriend or whatever it is, whatever your reward looks like. The point is that you have to assign yourself a value of what your time is worth going forward. And if that's the figure you want, then you need to say every hour that I waste, I'm burning through $100 an hour. Wouldn't I rather pay someone else to do this crummy work I don't want to do? So when you start having those conversations, that's when things are no longer busy days. That's when things are productive days. And you can confidently say at the end of your day, oh my God, oh thank God I used my entire day productively because I didn't waste a second of my day. And you'll find that productive days probably become 4 or 6 hour days, not 8 or 12-hour days. That's what you'll find.
These are our lessons. Calendar. This is our calendar, our Monday to Friday.
Calendar's coming, people. Listen, I don't know when, but it's coming. Okay, it's gonna have both cool logos on it. Dope ass color palette. Don't you worry. Calendar's coming. The last calendar. That's what we'll call it. The last calendar you'll ever need.
And most of it's going to be things that are going to outsource.
That's right. A whole chunk, a whole middle of the day is like self-care. I could write another email. No, you're breaking the rules of the calendar. This calendar is non-negotiable calendar.
Yes. And that's, you know what? And that's where I'd love to wrap us up with that last question, which is what advice do you have for listeners who are tempted to fill every waking minute with work, whether it is productive work or not?
Again, there's this romanticized view of entrepreneurs. It's sexy to be working from morning till night. It's almost expected of you. It's the hustle and flow, that rise and grind. It's expected, and you must be doing something good if you're living that life. There's too many Elon Musks and Gary V's and Richard Bransons in the world for us to compare ourselves to. And I think that's probably the problem there, that comparison issue. You'll never, ever feel like you've succeeded if you keep comparing yourself to others who have come before you. You can't compare your beginning to someone else's middle or their end. Lindsay, you tell me all the time, you've been doing this for years. I can't compare where I am to you. It's not fair. It's just not fair. You gotta release yourself of this comparison scenario, because then you'll just never feel successful and you don't have to be working this hard. A cool story. I'd love to leave you with this story, Lindsay. This is one of my favorite stories ever. And I do really think it's like entrepreneurship. Do you know who Dave Mustaine is? He's a lead guitarist in a metal band.
I do not.
Dave Mustaine was on a bus from New York to LA back in the 70s. And a bus ride like that sucks today, let alone in the 70s and 80s. But he had just been kicked out of his band at a recording session. They didn't like what he was doing anymore. And he was a really talented guitarist, excellent heavy metal guitarist. And he was just kicked out of his band. And on the bus ride back, he had a lot of time to think, because it's like a 3-day bus ride from New York to LA. And so he had a lot of time to think. And he said, you know what? I don't need those guys. I'm going to go and make the gnarliest, best metal band anyone has ever heard. I'm going to sell millions of albums. I'm going to sell out stadiums everywhere. I'm going to sell tons of merch. And I'm going to have the craziest metal band ever. And Dave Mustaine would go on to form the band Megadeth. I don't listen to, but I know the story really well, is hugely successful, has sold millions of records, sold tons of merch, and sold out stadiums everywhere. The problem with Dave and Megadeth is that he always compared himself to his old band, who unfortunately were Metallica, who are the undisputed best heavy metal band of all time. No matter how much success Dave got, no matter how big he grew, no matter how many hits, no matter how many number ones this guy had, he always felt like he was in the shadow of Metallica. And so when you compare yourself constantly to someone else, you'll just never feel successful.
Yeah.
You'll just never feel successful. You want a more recent example? Okay. Would you say, Lindsay, that the author of the Twilight books is hugely successful? I don't know her name, but she's clearly...
Stephanie Meyer.
There you go. Okay, nerd. Don't ever... Listen, when Vince and I go crazy on Star Wars, no more from you. I like Twilight, but I don't know Stephanie Meyer. So Stephanie Meyers, is it?
Meyer, yeah.
Okay, objectively speaking, anyone could say that she's hugely successful. Millions of copies sold, empire that she's built, 5 friggin' movies, 3 movies, however many movies she's had. I know I've seen them, I just can't remember how many there are. There you go, 5. See, I was right. Oh, who's the nerd now, Lindsay? This is so sad. I'm such a nerd. Anyways, Team Edward, though, because he's got all the nice stuff. Team Edward. Team Edward, because he has all the Volvos.
Toxic, but that's a whole conversation for another day.
Oh, okay, but I'm thinking because he has all the resources, I'm thinking. Anyways.
He's a vampire, and I will always choose, I don't know, vampires, werewolves.
In that universe, the vampires are really powerful. They're really powerful, so I like that. Most of the time when you see vampires and werewolves fight each other, like Underworld, the werewolves win. But in this universe, the vampires are really powerful, so I like the universe she's made. Anyways, anyone could say that author is hugely successful. But if she ever compared herself to, I don't know, J.K. Rowling, she'd probably feel like a failure. It's not fair for you to compare to someone like J.K. Rowling. If she compared herself to, I don't know, Tolkien, she might feel like a failure.
Stephen King or,
Exactly. No matter how successful the point of the story isn't
there's always a bigger fish.
That's not the point. The point is you're supposed to release yourself of this thinking, and you are successful and you will be doing your own thing. There's something that you can do to give the world something. And on that point, J.K. Rowling's audience is not necessarily the same as Stephanie Meyer, right? There is some overlap. Probably it's a fantastical world they've both built, but there are different audiences. There's wildly different. I'm more of a fan of Harry Potter than I am of Twilight. That's just the thing. Same thing with Dave Mustaine, Megadeth, and Metallica. Yep. There's lots of overlap. 2 of the biggest metal bands of all time. Those 2 bands make up the quartet. The biggest metal bands of all time are Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, and Slayer. Dave went on and did it. Dave achieved his goal. but he always compared himself to Metallica and he always felt like a loser. And he said that in interviews. And so you're not supposed to be comparing yourself and constantly having this thinking of, oh, I'll never do it. I'll never. Yes, you will. We're all going to do it. We're all going to do it and it'll be fine.
Yeah. It's a cliche, but it's a good quote for a reason, that comparison is the thief of joy. When you're comparing yourself to someone else, you are no longer living your life for you.
Another way of saying that is you're letting someone live in your head rent free.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Well,
Don't
and
do that.
even to look at a Gary Vee, for example, I don't want that kind of life.
Oh, no way.
Heck no. I want
That
to
guy-
travel and live and work on the beaches of the world. I don't want to work that hard.
Gary Vee is a slave to his own corporate machine. Like that guy, his own brand is the master of him. You think Gary Vee owns his day anymore? You think Gary Vee gets to do whatever he wants? No, he has a team around him that tells him what he's doing, how many pieces of content he has to put out. He's a machine. He's like the Terminator, and that's no life, man. I guess he wants to live it, but not for me.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I think Gary Vee is brilliant. And I really like a lot of
100%.
the things that he says. And I really like his principle of calling out entrepreneurship is hard work, but also he is a proponent of taking care of yourself and of being kind and of being compassionate and empathetic.
Gratitude. Yep.
Yeah, gratitude. Exactly. I've heard Gary Vee say on his podcast and different things, don't try to be like me. Do you know how hard I work? That's inhuman. I like your analogy.
Yep.
He's the Terminator. There's so much that we can take from the people who inspire us, but that doesn't mean that we have to compare ourselves and try to be them. At the end of the day, what kind of life do you want to live? What kind of lifestyle do you want? That's all that matters.
Yep. Gotta do you, man.
Yeah. You do you. What is that? That's Jersey Shore.
As long as you follow our calendar.
Yes. And eat our spicy chocolate.
Whenever that's supposed to come. Listen, we're entrepreneurs. We're not miracle workers. We're entrepreneurs. There's one business venture at a time, please.
It's like I say, it's not that you can't do it all. You just can't do it all at the same time. So let's just get this going. And then we'll do our next thing. Amazing. Nick, this has been so much fun. Thank you for coming and sharing your brilliance. Before we take off, why don't you tell folks where they can find you?
Yeah, that's great. You can visit my website, McGrawesome.com. That's a great way to reach me if you want to see more of my work. It's up there. I have a couple of portfolio pieces, some real world client work up there. If you're looking to brand yourself or you need a new logo or you want to talk content or any of those things that you need to help run your business, Lindsay's no stranger to stuff like that, as we all need it for sure. So my website, McGrawesome.com, is probably your first stop. And after that, I'm pretty reachable through Instagram DM. I like to live on Instagram, LinkedIn as well. Those are my two favorite platforms. So come say hi, DM me, and I'd love to get to know you a little bit more.
And I'm going to just plug you real quick, because one of the most common reasons that I tell entrepreneurs in my world to go and connect with Nick, especially if they are early stage entrepreneurs and they maybe can't do the whole big package, although Nick does brilliant work for the whole big package. But if you even just need some help with like your social media templates or social media strategy, those kinds of things in terms of how do I make my brand look badass on social. Nick's got all sorts of options for wherever you're at in your business. He also has a free checklist. Tell us about the checklist.
I made this free social media checklist for people who look disjointed on social media. Like you have a Facebook page and therefore you have the Facebook banner, but you're also on LinkedIn, you're a little bit on Instagram. All the places you want to be, it just all looks disjointed and it doesn't look like one cohesive brand. You want to be good on all your social media platforms, but you just don't look the part right now. I've developed this 4-page, really easy, simple to download social media checklist PDF. It's on my website right now. It's the first button that you see. It's yours for free. It'll basically tell you how to make all your socials look brilliant, the things you want to look out for, everything from this is what a banner should really be, how to make a really killer profile pic, bio optimization, your first piece of content, really quick and easy, putting power in the hands of entrepreneurs. I saw that there was a need for people, and I was so sick of seeing great people who do good things, but their socials looked like crap.
Yes.
And they were using their socials as avenues to sell more and to build their business. I'm like, listen, I know you're not ready for me yet, but here's something you can have. So go download that. It's totally free. I ask for nothing. Just use it to the best of your ability. A social media checklist.
Nick, this has been so much fun. I can't wait for what's next. I love it.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If you want to learn more about joining my community for new entrepreneurs and influencers who want to ditch the busy work and discover how to work less and play more all the way to 6 figures and beyond, please visit theradicalconnector.com. Check out today's show notes for all the juicy resources we covered. If you loved what you've heard, subscribe and leave a review. Happy connecting. I will see you online.